children of the night. What music they make. They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Oh yeah! Welcome to Final Guys!
Nice.
Wow. Well, this week you may notice that one of the bats in our lineup is missing. Hunter Shea is serving a steroid suspension. Luckily, we have a deep bench. And sliding right in that cleanup hitter spot, Timmy Hall of Fame Meyer. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, pal?
2 weeks in a row, huh?
It's crazy.
God, it's like the old days.
It is like the old days.
We've got,
But I'll be gone probably for like another 2 years after this episode. So
We've got Roid Rage up top there, Jason.
Hello, hello.
And come on, feel the roids. Let's go.
Girls, rock your boys.
Please.
I think it's more like Girls Rock Your Girls with this one.
Fair enough.
I'm your host, She-Hulk, attorney at law. All right, so this week we were talking about Love Lies Bleeding, the Kristen Stewart steroid-ridden family drama romance. That might...
Yeah. I missed the vote on this. I was out of town, and I come back to see that we're watching a lesbian romantic thriller for our horror podcast.
Well, because you never read anything or aren't aware, this movie has been like on the forefront of horror websites and people talking about it. Some people are considering this movie horror. So before it came out on like the what's coming up this year, this was like listed as a horror movie. So now that
Those
we've
people are dumb.
Yeah, this is
nowhere near a horror movie.
I'm going to say this. We complain a lot about some of the crap we watch on this. So picking a movie that's like, 95 on Rotten Tomatoes increased our odds.
Yeah, and A24, as far as I'm concerned, it's just it's a sure thing. You know,
We'll see.
As far as should we watch this?
So is that why we're watching a lesbian romantic thriller? Is because of Letsky's A24 boner?
I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, it's A24. I'm in.
Is this why she has that awful haircut? What's her name? Stewart? Is it because of this movie?
In real life?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of her with a mullet, and I didn't know if it was because of this movie or she's just rocking a mullet now.
Really bad, like redneck bad mullets that look like you did it yourself are in right now anyway.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I would imagine she filmed this a long time ago. So if for promoting it, she went back to the look.
No, they're a thing right now.
I want one.
Inner Fury is asking if Hunter is okay. Have you ever watched any of these shows? Hunter is not okay at all. But like health-wise, yeah, he's fine. But does he need help? Go ahead.
Tonight's show is sponsored by Hunter Shea's Creature because I found it finally, so I can know. It was on a different bookshelf, so it's our sponsor, I guess.
Okay,
That's his creature.
Yes.
All right. Before we get into everything, any news or anything to report?
Let's see. I might finally be releasing our Bloodsport marathon, all-day marathon on Sunday. I'm trying. We watched all 4 Bloodsport movies in a day, but that was like a while ago, and I just haven't had time to edit it. But I think I'm going to get it done for Sunday, so be ready.
That's impressive, watching all 4 of them in one day.
The 4th one is so shockingly bad, too. When you've been slugging beers for like 8 hours and you have to watch that, it's like, Jesus. This is interesting. So,
what am I drinking tonight? It's only Boston Celtic
Jack's Abbey
beer from Jack's Abbey.
Look at you, a little celebration beer, huh?
Commemorating the C's putting up the banner on the rafters, number
Mhm,
18.
mhm. Congratulations.
Cheers.
Yep.
You're a
Sports ball.
Celtics fan.
I am drinking. It's might be my favorite brewery, South County Brewing. Painting with Light Double IPA. These guys
Ooh.
make incredible beer.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's about an hour north of me, so I don't get there too often. But when I drive by, I stock up.
I just have coffee tonight.
And I guess I should, to celebrate with you guys in your beer, I got my 15-year chip.
Right.
15 years. Wow.
Yeah. 15 years of sobriety.
He gets a ring for that one.
Okay.
All right. Then let's do drinking words. I know you thought I was going to forget that right there, but I didn't.
I actually had forgotten. I got him right here. As always, thanks to Sheridan Bradford. If you hear Jack say Thelma twists 90s, take a drink. We will swap out Hunter for. We should probably tell him when people are going to be on the show, but we never do. If you hear Tim say bonkers, lesbian, or contest, if I say Harris, ripped, or roids, or if Lutsky says wrestling, murder, or ending, take a drink, or if any of us say the bonus words Stuart loves Ed.
Excellent. All right. So with that, I think it's time for the news. Let's roll that thing.
It's the news. Yay.
All right. Breaking news today. I had to add to the piece of paper.
Let's hear it.
The much storied Crystal Lake series coming to Peacock. The hot rumor today, Charlize Theron possibly playing Pamela Voorhees.
What?
What?
Really?
How could they
That's-
possibly afford her for a Friday the 13th show on Peacock?
Did you ever think Pamela Voorhees would be a MILF?
That's completely random.
I don't
Yeah,
know
but-
how much I like that.
Charlize, she's a shapeshifter. Have you guys not seen Monster?
I've
Yeah.
seen Monster.
Monsters,
Yeah,
good
so-
stuff.
Interesting.
She can turn into stuff.
I would be shocked if this happens. That seems like a big spend.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
These platforms, though, are throwing the money around to keep those subscribers. So,
It's true.
so apparently, when what's his name, Brian? What's the guy? It's Brian Fuller. Was before he was let go from this, he was looking at doing this kind of like Hannibal, where he was going to make each season one of the Friday the 13th movies and kind of deconstruct it like Hannibal was doing with the Silence of the Lambs books. So this one, now we don't know if the only thing I could really eke out of anything was possibly some sort of extended prequel, which again, I don't know how interested I am about Jason before he's Jason, but
Not much is my answer. Is this because of the lawsuits? They don't have the rights to Jason, like with the mask?
I thought that's what was going on with it. Yeah, that, like they have some of the rights, but not to the actual like. Image.
maybe they don't have the words Friday the 13th
Mm.
because this is all being called like Crystal Lake.
Do
very
they have the right? Do they have the rights to pillowcases? You know.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah. So maybe we won't get the. Maybe they're buying their time. And they're like, hey man, listen, our first season, we're not worried about it. Second season, we'll just use a pillowcase. Third season, we got to have these rights to the hockey mask.
We'll get our team of lawyers on that to go through and get us an answer.
Team of lawyers.
Sheridan, could you get on that? To put down the beer and
Do some legal research, please.
okay. The most interesting news really that I saw was they're looking at doing a remake of Possession.
Mm.
Robert Pattinson and the person who directed Smile, Parker Finn.
Interesting.
Now, I had never seen Possession until Shudder
Yeah.
resurrected it. So I have no problem remaking that movie because I think a handful of people have seen it, and even if they haven't, I feel like it's
What's
worthy.
the story behind that? Why had none of us? We were all hanging out when we all saw the trailer for the very first time. None of us had seen or knew. How come nobody has seen that? That's a great movie. I don't understand.
I just never saw it in a video store.
Yeah, I don't think I'd even heard of it, but it is a good one to remake. Stop remaking the classics. Get stuff like this that is not beloved, that you can do whatever the hell you want with. Have at it.
And Robert Pattinson, I mean, if you saw The Lighthouse, I'm interested to see his involvement with this, where that could go.
He's a good actor. He gets shit for Twilight, but he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Super underrated. Yeah, that guy, great.
Tim, have you seen Possession?
I have. Yeah, it's great.
Did you see the new Omen movie, the first Omen?
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard good things about it.
It's pretty good. There's a big nod to Possession in that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right. And the last one, I have my crack team of readers here, so I need to know. First of all, there's a streaming platform called MGM Plus. So if you don't have enough streaming services, MGM has one. They're making a series out of The Institute by Stephen King.
Oh, nice.
Anybody read this? I've never even heard of it.
It's a good one. It's one of his more recent ones, probably within the last 5 years or so.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this book.
So good. It's one of his. I think it's one of his best books.
It's a good one.
What's it about?
An institute.
It's about an institute. It's similar to Firestarter, I guess, but it's basically this kid gets kidnapped and brought to this institute because he has special abilities, and basically he's in an institute with a whole bunch of kids with special abilities, and they basically try to break out because the people experimenting on them are up to nefarious things.
So it's exactly Firestarter.
It's pretty similar to Firestarter, but it's good. I liked it. I think it was better than Firestarter.
I think it's better than Firestarter, yeah.
All right. Well, we're keeping it short this week. That's all the news that's fit to print. You guys ready to talk about our movies?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We have such sights to show you.
All right. We'll go around. Jason, start, and then we'll go to Chad and Tim.
Alrighty. What the hell did I watch this week? Oh, I'm going to start with a movie that's coming to So Bad It's Good on Thursday called Lycan Colony. So, obviously, this is a werewolf movie. But you guys have not seen a werewolf movie like this before. Holy shit, this is bad. I mean, this is staggeringly bad. I don't understand.
1.7.
I don't. Yeah, dude. That's probably high, to be honest. I don't understand a single decision made here. This is a scene where the aspect ratio changes 8 times. There's random blue screen shots in the woods. There's your werewolf with a mask on, spray painted black. When I say this is bad, I mean there will be 2 people talking in front of a green screen, and in the middle of them talking, it will be like a crossfade to them standing just 5 feet further back, still talking, and then it'll crossfade to them closer, still talking. It's wild. I don't know why they did anything they did. There's so much day for night in this, and they didn't wait for a cloudy day. It's bright noon, and they're doing day for night. The green screen at the end is mind-boggling. It's dude, this is actually a shot from the movie. This is wild. If you are looking for the worst werewolf movie ever made, this has got to be on your list. This is
I was looking for that.
It's like Howling 7. Bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is worse. This is produced worse, but there are actually werewolves in this, unlike Howling 7.
By the way, sorry, I'm late on this. Aspect ratio.
I was hoping you would comment on that. So that is coming up on Thursday for So Bad It's Good, and I wanted to mention it because it's got the wolves in it, and it is extremely New England. The accents are just like, get me a beer. Like it's very Massel. I dug it. So
What year
Wicked
was that?
Werewolf.
this came out in 2006,
Okay.
but it looks like it was shot in 95. The tape was thrown into the ocean, and then they edited it in 2006.
They threw it in the Charles River.
It's something.
Sounds spectacular. So that's going to be a So Bad It's Good.
Yep, Thursday.
Excellent. Because that's the beauty of what So Bad It's Good. You're the Cliff Notes.
This is a tough watch. I'm just warning everybody.
Speaking of tough watches, what did you watch, Tim? Chad?
I watched a Vinegar Syndrome movie that I bought.
Ooh. A spicy one or just a normal one?
No, I don't buy those. This is a horror. This is a horror movie called Terror from 1978. The tag is one step beyond horror, so get ready. This one starts with some British villagers in the 1600s chasing down a woman. Surprise, she's a witch of some sort. So they burn her at the stake, but she puts a curse on them and kills a few. Very predictable. We've seen this before a lot. Then we see credits. It says the end. And it's because it turns out we're really at a party in the 1970s in this, which with a bunch of Brits sitting around, and the homeowner is just showing a film that he made that recreates what happened years ago in his very house. And he's got the sword that was used in the movie that was supposedly used in a beheading and stuff back then. So then one of the party goers thinks he's a hypnotist and offers to hypnotize people. But when he does this, one of them doesn't snap out of it and tries to kill the homeowner. And then she flees. And from here on out, people are killed slasher style. And they start with the killer wearing black gloves. So now we went from hammer witch hex thing to Giallo. And it stays like this for most of the movie, then goes full supernatural with no reveal on who the killer is or why or how, other than the ghost witch shows up at the end, finally, and kills the protagonist. But everything else points to her not having killed anyone until that point. So I don't know what happened. I think someone in England was a Giallo fan, but wanted to stick with the whole witch hammer thing because the lighting in this thing is straight up Argento. Bright greens, bright reds, blues. And someone's even killed by falling glass, which has happened a lot in 2 or 3 Argento movies and some other ones. Yeah, it's a staple for a lot of those films. But yeah, I bought this from Vinegar Syndrome and didn't really care much for it other than some of the unintentional bloopers, the bad acting and nonsensical plot. But it made for, we did for Creepy Couch, and it made for a decent episode of Creepy Couch. If you're interested, it's up. So other than that, I don't recommend watching Terror because it is not one step above horror.
The transfer looks great, though. Vinegar Syndrome.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So you bought this from Vinegar Syndrome?
Yeah, it was like $10. It was on sale.
Does anybody have the Vinegar Syndrome subscription? It's like insanely expensive, but they send you everything.
Yeah, no.
No.
That's, can you imagine that collection? Like you'd have the craziest shit.
I feel like for every one movie they put out like 20. I have no interest in owning. Maybe I'll watch them, but like I don't want to own all their stuff that they put out.
There's some stuff in here that I can't help but think that Sam Raimi saw this movie and really got some ideas with the camera work and some of the stuff, because there were a couple scenes that were straight up Evil Dead, particularly Evil Dead 2. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Evil Dead 2 is not my favorite Evil Dead movie.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Lala says I have this in the library. There we go. It's downstairs waiting for me.
Actually, you know what, dude? I think now that I think about it, I didn't really watch it with you in mind. I do think that you guys would have a good time with this. I do.
All right. I got a lot of Vinegar Syndrome downstairs. People sent me quite a bit they put out. So.
All I have is the ones that I bought. I got one left, and that's it. I might grab maybe a few more if I can see anything on sale that I like.
Beautiful.
Tim, batter up.
All right, pal. So last week, Jack, you had talked about a movie that I guess they're doing a sequel to that came out in the late 90s, and that movie is Practical Magic.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
So like I was just cruising on HBO Max, and I was just like looking for something to watch, and it just like popped up. I feel like it was one of those things where like you think about something or mention something, and then you kind of just like see it as
You
an
put it out there,
advertisement on
and
your
it comes
phone.
back to you.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, "What the hell? I got like 2 hours to burn. Let me just let me put this on and see if it holds up to my memory," which I really don't remember. I remember watching it, but I don't remember like anything about what happened in it. So yeah, I put it on, and I think it was rated PG-13, but it was surprisingly dark, and it is kind of like a mashup between horror, family drama, comedy. It's like very all over the place in terms of like tone. But basically stars Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. They're sisters. Nicole Kidman plays kind of like the wild child. She kind of runs off. Gets herself into some trouble with a certain gentleman who's abusive to her. And Sandra Bullock stays home, gets married, has a couple kids. And then because they're witches, they have a family curse. Something bad happens to Sandra Bullock's husband. He dies like really early in the movie. Not so much a spoiler alert. And then Nicole Kidman runs away from the abusive boyfriend, and Sandra Bullock saves her by killing the boyfriend. This all happens in like the first half of the movie, so I'm not really spoiling anything if you haven't watched it.
Other than all the deaths.
Then there's this one thing at the end of the movie that I'll just tell you.
Yeah.
It just happened at the end of the movie.
And then so like that's when things kind of start to go crazy, and there's like a lot of like spells and raising the dead and corpses coming back to life, all crazy stuff. So I don't know, I kind of enjoyed it though. It was not like a bad movie for what you'd think. Like the way it's marketed, it's like kind of like a romantic comedy, but it was kind of dark and kind of twisted. So I don't know, I enjoyed it. It's late 90s. It has all the popular pop songs from that you heard on the radio in the 90s. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I recommend checking it out if you want something a little bit dark that's also on the lighter side.
Something dark and light. All right.
Something, yeah, it's hard to like really grab the tone of the movie because it is so all over the place. Like you just kind of have to see it and to kind of see what I'm talking about.
I've never seen someone so biased over an era. Like I love the 70s and I love the aesthetic, but I can tell you, yes, this movie sucks. But you, dude, you're like, if it's made between like, especially like 90 to 96, doesn't matter. It's the greatest movie ever.
It's awesome. Yeah. I love 90s stuff. So you're absolutely right. If this had been made in 2001, I would have hated it.
Right.
Okay.
No.
I do need to watch this. It's one of those that just escaped me. It always looked like a chick flick to me, so I was like, why would I watch that?
It kind of is, though. That's the other crazy thing. It is like a chick flick, but it's super dark at times. Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
I saw it when it came out, like when it hit HBO or whatever. So I remember flashes of it, but I don't even remember having an opinion about it. I feel like it was just like one of those, okay, this is on, you watch it.
Yeah, that's how it was for me too, and that's why I wanted to go back and revisit it, especially when you said that there's a sequel. So I was just
knowing it's on Max, I need to watch something on Max. It's been a while since I've opened that app. So
yeah, very late 90s though, like definitely very late 90s. So
all right.
Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
Well, I watched something from this year. So one of the movies that I had floated for us to do as a main feature is called What You Wish For. And since we didn't choose it as the main feature, I decided to watch it. It's got Nick Stahl, who I believe was one of the John Connors.
Yep.
One of the,
T3.
I like him a lot, man. Yeah.
I'm going to be really vague because you shouldn't know much going into this. But basically, he's down on his luck guy, got some gambling debt he's dealing with. And he visits his friend on this like island somewhere. And his friend has a job for this very wealthy organization. And then something happens to his friend, so he's got to substitute in for him. And it turns out the people that he's working for are rather nefarious. So he finds himself in hot water. I kind of don't want to say more than that because it's if you watch a trailer or read anything, you're going to pick up a little bit. But going in blind, this is one of the better movies I've seen this year.
Really?
Yeah, it's good. It's not. I really liked it. I didn't love it. I felt like a couple of tweaks to it could have made it really good. We were just talking about movies that deal with the rich, and this is kind of in that same vein. And I think it's a step below some of those things like The Menu and other things like that. But it is good. Nick Stahl's a little one note in it, but he's still good. And there's like a few things that I don't know. Things could have been a little bit ramped up or whatever, but it's still very good. So I recommend it. And like I said, I kind of don't want to tell you more, but it's a quality movie that I liked, and I was you don't really you think you know exactly where it's going, and then it surprises you. It's called What You Wish For.
Huh. All right.
He doesn't get enough work, and I don't know if that's because he had issues with drugs for a while. But every time I see him in something like Carnival, have you guys ever seen that series?
No.
The HBO one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that show is phenomenal, and he's great in that. He's the stars in it. And then what Josiah saw that we did was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man.
And
he's great.
Calling it one note, I that sounds harsher than I'm making it. It kind of fits his character, but in my kind of critique, I was kind of like, this movie could have used a little more adrenaline to it overall. And so, but like I said, my friend at work recommended it, and then when I watched it, I came in and said, "Hey, I watched it." He goes, "What'd you think?" I said, "That's a pretty good movie." He goes, "Yeah, it's pretty good." And we're both like, I can't quite get to I'm crazy about it, but it's solid flick.
Is it something we should cover?
If there's nothing else that looks good new, yes, we should. But if there's something more interesting, like a new release, something, I put it like as a reserve main feature.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Well, I watched Hunter Shea Porn, and I checked out Sasquatch Sunset.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yes.
This is a wild movie. There is no dialogue. It's just a gaggle of big feet walking through the woods, shitting on stuff, pissing on stuff, banging, eating poisonous mushrooms, puking, shitting again, spraying breast milk. This is... Dude, it
sounds amazing.
Lots of secretions.
It's just a bunch of... Is it Bigfoots? I don't know.
Big feet?
Big feet?
Bigfoot?
It's a bunch of big feet. Just walking around. Sometimes they're looking for food. Sometimes they're banging sticks. Sometimes they're drinking water. Sometimes they're banging. This movie is crazy. The fact that Jesse Eisenberg is one of the big feet in this, and you would have no clue. I mean, you can't recognize anyone even remotely. And it's just grunts and like throwing shit like monkeys. It's like, it's freaking wild, man. I don't know the names of the brothers who made it, David and Nathan Zellner, but I think they maybe operate on a different frequency than most people. I I don't know if I should recommend this or tell people to run away from this. I don't know what this is. You know, if you're into weird art house shit, this is your movie. You have seen nothing like this. I guarantee it. Is it entertaining? At times, it actually is funny. And then at other times, you're like, what am I watching? Like, what am I doing right now? I could be doing something else. I'm watching this Bigfoot just throw rocks into water. Like, it's crazy.
Jason, imagine me, only person in the theater watching this movie.
No, man.
Dude.
So like ASMR Bigfoot.
Kind of.
You mentioned.
Okay.
Sorry, you mentioned Jesse Eisenberg not being able to recognize him. I think when I think of like people being covered with makeup and being unrecognizable, I think it doesn't matter how much Bigfoot makeup you put on Ron Perlman. I feel like we'd all know immediately that it was Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Riley Keough is the female lead, and that's Elvis's granddaughter. And she was in The Lodge.
Oh, I remember The Lodge, but I'd have to.
She's gorgeous, and like again, would never in 1,000 years be like, oh my god. So she's like an up and coming. She's got a pretty impressive resume already, and she's doing stuff like this too. So it's. And the funny thing about this movie, I said this when I was talking about it. You're watching it; it's really weird, but there are a few moments that get really tense.
Yeah, there's one in particular that I was like, oh, like I don't like where this is going. Yeah, and then the rest of it's just like freaking weird, man. Like, it's just them making like clicks and pops and throwing rocks and shit. You're like, what the hell is this? It's so wild. So yeah, I'm curious what everyone thinks of this. It's one that I could never recommend anywhere but on this show. So
we should have covered it. Why didn't we cover it?
Because it wasn't playing in theaters near everybody.
No.
I honestly probably would have been pretty pissed off if I paid like $30 for my wife and I to see this, and she may have divorced me on the way home. So,
Is it on something now, or did you rent it?
it's on Prime. I think is where I saw it.
Okay.
It's weird, man. It's
Well,
a
you know
weird
me.
movie.
You're probably gonna like it. So.
Probably.
Chad?
I'm tapped out.
All right.
Oh,
Tim?
wow. Yeah, I got another gem that I watched this week. On Shudder, I saw this movie called Houseboat Horror pop up.
Okay.
Never heard of that one.
1989 Australian slasher film, which has been dubbed one of the worst Australian movies ever made. So naturally, I saw that and was like, well, I have to watch it now. Like
that's a good sales pitch.
So, Jason, this should definitely be on your radar for.
God, the stuff we're
the
recommending
benefit.
this week is all like, this is
Awful
the worst
stuff.
werewolf movie
Yeah.
ever. This is the worst movie in Australia. This
It
is a
looks
movie I
like-
bought as Vinegar Syndrome, and I'm suing them now.
It looks like it was shot on your dad's like camcorder VHS in 1985, like your family Christmas movie.
Mhm.
That was the quality.
Is this guy wearing a mask or is he just
No,
on the
that's-
verge of death?
Dirty.
Dirty.
Yeah, he's a little dirty, and that's just his face. So thanks for
Is
insulting
that
him.
other guy Tony Shalhoub from
Um,
the 80s?
Dude, I don't think I have to worry about insulting this guy. There's a 0% chance he's alive. That guy looks not well.
All right. So the plot. The plot for this is pretty simple. It's a
What the? This looks so bad.
it's so bad, but it was great at the same time. So basically, this film production company, they go to this houseboat on a lake in Australia to shoot a music video for this really awful pop rock band, like rock band. and basically it just turns into your typical woods slasher, just people running through the woods getting slashed up in not very creative ways either. But yeah, it's a movie, and I watched it, and it's on Shudder. And yeah, if you like really bad slasher movies that look like they were shot by like fourth graders, this might be your jam. I liked it. I there was like a good chunk in the middle where kind of like nothing happens, but like the beginning was kind of okay, and then the ending was kind of okay. But the killer is like also there. I'm not gonna spoil it, obviously, but the killer is just very
because like the last movie didn't spoil it all.
yeah. No, the killer was just very reminiscent of every like wood slasher. I'll just leave it at that. And he's just like a carbon copy of other wood slashers you've seen. So, but otherwise, you know, if you like bad movies, this could be for you.
I see it's from '89. If they would have made it a year later, do you think you would have been in love with this movie?
There's a good chance that it might have been the best slasher ever made.
Right?
Bumped right
They
up
had
to the
just,
top.
yeah, just waited like 6 months to release it or something.
Do you generally like shot on shitty movies?
I have like an appreciation for anybody who just makes a movie. So like
Yeah, but there's a look these movies have that is generally unfavorable for most people. I love them because of what I do for a living, but that like just those images that looked really rough.
It was pretty rough. But like I said, like I can look past it. Like I can look past it if like there's something that keeps me like there has to be other stuff like the kills have to be cool. Like the sound has to be good.
Boobs.
There's some boobs in this.
Okay. All right.
It's a plus.
All right.
That's a plus, but like, yeah, I mean, listen, there's 1,000 movies that are better than this, but I don't know. There's just something about like really bad movies that I just kind of dig, I just
We'll have to get you on so bad it's good.
It's like the way I look at it is like it's really fucking hard to make a movie, right? Like it really is. So like there's definitely like this just appreciation that I have for anybody who tries to attempt to make a movie, and like just the really bad ones, I just feel like I don't know, I connect with them a little bit, like because
when you walk into a place and you get a terrible pizza, you go, well, it's hard to make a pizza, so this garbage they put on a plate is okay. Or do you go, God damn it, I want a piece of pizza. What am I?
First of all, it's not hard to make a pizza. You go make a pizza, and then you go try to make a movie. You tell me which one's harder.
Hey, listen, man, I live in Connecticut. We got the best pizza. You can't come close to this stuff.
No, you're crazy. Jersey's got the best pizza, and I will not even hear about it. It's not even a conversation.
Come on.
But yeah, I don't know. I just have like an appreciation for these.
Toten says this is coming out on Blu-ray next week. That's wild.
Might have to splurge.
Oh, bring it on.
Toten is freaking Professor X with the Cerebro on. I know.
I think 3 of my next 4 So Bad It's Good movies are shot on Shitio.
Nice.
And they look bad.
It sounds like this would be a great double feature with what's the one, Blood Hook, where the killer has to kill everybody with his fishing pole, like from the shore. Is that what it's called, Blood Hook?
That
sounds
it's ridiculous. I know you've seen it, Tim. Because
I
we
feel
were
like
talking
I have.
about it a couple of years ago.
I'm getting that mixed up with like I think Mutilator. The guy's got like a hook too.
No, this dude is like people are like if you're
Peter Pan
swimming,
too,
or if you're in the water or whatever, the killer's like killing with the fishing pole, like, and somehow he's managing to kill all the people by casting this hook.
Look at Colin's comment. Sea Farmer.
Sea Farmer's dead to me.
Shit pizza in New Jersey, huh?
All right. I've got some news for you, fellas. I watched a Christopher Lee Dracula movie.
No.
That I had never seen before.
Oh,
wow.
Christopher Lee was in 9 Dracula movies. Not all were Hammer. And then he made a few other appearances, apparently. Not always quite as Dracula, but movie-wise. And I had seen all of them except this one. The last movie he made, a Dracula movie. Because it's a French movie called Dracula and Son from 1976.
Dracula and Son?
And Son.
Oh, God.
And it's a comedy. And it's dubbed. So apparently, I don't know if Christopher Lee was speaking English and everybody else was speaking French, kind of like a Clint Eastwood movie, or if he was too. I don't know. But
Jesus, this poster is rough.
Yeah. So it.
Oh, my God.
It's like this. At times tries to be like kind of almost like a 70s sex comedy kind of thing, not kind of toned down, but that kind of spirit that was going on, maybe a love at first bitey kind of thing, but not quite that. But Christopher Lee keeps like the gravitas of Dracula. And there's actually a couple of funny gags, which I'll tell you because I found this on Tubi. They're in Transylvania and then they have to leave, so they go to France. But they end up in the ocean, and Dracula gets picked up by this fishing boat. And so while he's on the boat, he attacks a sleeping person. But when the lights come on, you hear a deflating sound, and he is bitten into a blow-up doll. So
Jesus.
And there's a couple of other gags. So it was like. This is like right when like sort of the Mad Magazine, like Dracula was so hot at the end of the 70s. And this was, I didn't realize that Christopher Lee had done this. I had heard about this movie like just from like seeing it mentioned in all these 70s vampire books I have, but I never really thought about it and everything. And then I realized it was on Tubi. So I watched it. And I will say this, if you watch Christopher Lee Dracula movies, he says very little in most of them, and he actually doesn't say anything. I think it's in the second one, Prince of Darkness. He hated the writing so much that he just was like, nope, I'm not saying anything in this. He actually talks a lot in this, and so in some ways, this is one of his best performances as Dracula, even though it's a pretty stupid movie. So this is like one of the only places I could bring this up, and either somebody in the room has seen this already or is like, oh, I'm interested in that. So I'm telling you, if you're a completist like I am, it's on Tubi. Check it out. But, if you're working from home, you could have this on and still get your work done. No problem.
Man, you are deep down the Dracula hole here. I mean,
Yeah. This is the 15th vampire movie I've watched this year, by the way.
Jeez.
Wow.
Whew. All right. I'm tapped out. I don't have anything left.
Okay. All right. So is everybody done?
Yep.
Okay. Then it's time to get ripped. Let's talk about the main feature.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Okay. A24. What is this called? Where love
What's
Love
the name?
Lies.
love lies bleeding?
Yes, that's it.
Kristen Stewart and Kathy O'Brien, Ed Harris, Jenna Malone, Dave Franco. Impressive cast.
Great cast, yeah.
Rose Glass directed it. She did Saint Maud. Remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. God.
You didn't like that movie?
No, that was a rough watch, man.
Oh yeah, it was
Not
rough,
exactly
yeah.
a feel-good movie.
No, definitely not. Very awkward, but great movie.
Who wants to tell us a little bit about this movie?
No volunteers.
I'm trying to remember. I will. Trying to remember. I guess you'd call it a small town full of I don't know, rednecks. This takes place in the 80s, right? It's
19
got to.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's basically rednecks and lesbians, I think, is
Yeah,
the entire
you've
population.
got this drifter lesbian bodybuilder that comes into town, and she meets up with another lesbian, and they get into some trouble with some locals there, and it gets deeper and deeper. And in the meantime, this bodybuilder gets turned onto steroids and starts to develop roid rage that makes their bad situation even worse.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh,
And gosh, I gotta say this. While I was watching this, having trouble guessing what people were gonna think of it, but there kept being moments where I felt like Jason might be getting triggered. So I'm most curious as to what you think of this. So should I wait for you, or should we go with you
No,
first?
bring it on. I don't have any
Okay.
nuclear takes or anything. Honestly, my biggest complaint is this is not even remotely a horror film. Like it's just not. It's not close. Whoever said this was, shut up. I don't know what you're talking about. Otherwise, it's a well-made movie. There's some weird stuff in it, like some of the roid rage stuff is weird, and it gets weirder as the movie goes on. I'm not really sure I understand it, particularly towards the end. I don't get it. Great performances, great cast, the direction's good. Ed Harris, as always, absolutely steals every frame he's in. The guy
He's
is
awesome.
just a freaking genius. It's a solid film. It's just not a horror film. So, yeah. It's okay. It's good.
All right. And Chad.
Yeah, I like this movie. I thought it was entertaining. I'm with Jason on the odd bits of the film. I think that if they were going to do that, they should have leaned a little bit more. Like started out a little straight, no pun intended, and then
I was gonna say it absolutely doesn't.
yeah, and then once it starts getting strange, like really lean into that. So we're really scratching our heads, and instead of just like, did they mean to leave that in there? What did there was something else missing. I can't place it, but I think all in all, I didn't see this movie as being truly like original. I wish Kevin Hunter was here, because a couple of movies I'm going to mention, I don't know if anybody except for maybe Jack would know, but it reminded me of like Blood Simple and Red Rock West. Had a lot of that going on, and so it wasn't, to me, it wasn't like this wholly original thing, except for some of the weirdness. And like I said, if they would have leaned into the weirdness more, to where the last act just started to, once it went off the rails, it just freaking really went off the rails. I think that it would have been cooler, or just leave that bit out. But yeah, definitely not horror, not even close. This is a like a, it's like the movies I mentioned, like it's like this is a crime thriller. That's
Crime
all it
thriller,
is.
yeah.
Yep.
Blood Simple, I could definitely see. I haven't said that
Yeah.
in the movie you mentioned. But
Nicolas Cage, it's a great movie.
Timmy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, as you guys probably already assumed. I with Chad, I just like could have benefited people with weirder.
Wait, how you somehow caught the hunter underwater bug?
Yeah,
What the hell?
Say
I
something.
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're back.
there
Yeah,
you go.
you did the same thing he did last week. Just like right underwater, but you're back again.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love this movie. I think it's one of the best movies I've seen this year, and yeah, I don't know. I wish it got weirder, especially towards the end. I love the hallucination stuff. Like that was like my favorite part of the movie. Definitely not horror. Definitely a crime thriller. There was like maybe one scene in it where you can kind of like say it was horror-ish, but yeah, so good.
All right. Go ahead.
Wait, I was just gonna say, did anybody else think that Ed Harris looked a little bit like Chad Lutsky if he was like 90 years old?
What?
Lutsky with the skullet.
and bald. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, that's Lutsky if he was like 95 years old.
Damn, man. I was gonna say Harris was looking rough in this.
Wow.
That's funny.
Oh shit! I love you, Chad.
Yeah.
How do you even follow that? Okay. I had seen the trailer for this and really wanted to see it. So I was kind of psyched that we chose it. I agree it's not a horror movie, but I think there are like 2 scenes in it that are super violent that it kind of scratches the horror itch. But it's a genre piece, but yeah, more of a crime thriller. And I really like this movie until that, third act or last 15 minutes. And then I was like, what the hell? Because there was hints of it throughout the movie. And then all of a sudden it was like, laying my cards down, let's go.
Yeah,
and
it's weird.
after the movie, I kind
silly.
of had to sit with it for a little bit, and we'll get into it more as spoilers. But I said, I still don't know what I think about the end of this movie, but I love the swing they took, because if they had just done sort of a standard ending, this would have been just another like, oh yeah, if you find it on HBO, watch it, instead of being like, oh yeah, that movie. It's worth talking about and worth discussing what the hell happened at the end. So I kind of appreciated the ending, even if I'm not sure I liked it.
Interesting. I'm the opposite. I wish they hadn't done that. I thought there was enough pretty cool character stuff in this that I could have done without the weird shit they did. Dancing around it till we get to spoilers, but there's actually one of the last 2 or 3 shots of the movie is pretty crazy. But they show it so quickly, you're like, wait, did that really happen? And it's like, it's one of those things that I wish there'd maybe been a little more into that than what they did. But still, it's solid. I mean, I feel like I'm complaining more about it than is necessary.
And there were parts of this movie that were just freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
The acting is outstanding. Like,
Yes.
it really is outstanding.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool, and I'm with Jason with that. I think we're all talking about the the really silly scene that goes out there that we could probably all do without, because then it reels back in. It's like, by that time, the weirdness happening through kind of like the perspective of the person taking the steroids makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
But then when you take that and you amp it up through someone else's perspective, that made 0 sense.
Exactly. Should we just do it?
Yeah, let's just do it, because I'm not sure I agree with you. Spoiler alert. So we all say it's worth going to watch, but be ready for some weirdness.
And not a horror film. If you
Not
want
a
a
horror
horror
film.
recommendation, this is not it.
Yeah. Okay, so throughout the movie, this girl comes to town. I think her name is Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the actress who played her, if you watch The Mandalorian, I think she was in The Mandalorian.
I did, but I didn't remember.
She's in one. Her face was recognized her face. I had to look it up, or I saw it on Twitter or something.
It's hard to remember her face when her hair is so epic in this. It's like super 80s. I love
So
it.
she comes to town, and Kristen Stewart sees her from across the gym. Kristen Stewart runs this grimy gym, just living in this miserable existence. And then it's like love at first sight. She's just like enchanted by her. Introduces her to steroids the first night she meets her. They also hook up the first night they meet. They get a lot done in that first.
People in this gym aren't discerning at all. I mean, that scene at the beginning where she's reaching into a toilet, pulling shit out that's clogged, and then immediately is getting hit on by another woman is like, what? Like, who? How is that a turn on? She has shit all over her.
This is like the worst gym too.
Oh my God, it's brutal. Everyone's awful to each other.
Yeah. Where were they? New Mexico?
I don't know.
Somewhere
man.
near Las Vegas, I would assume. Somewhere
Had to
near
be, because
Bob.
they were by the desert. So
And she got to Las Vegas in like
Yeah.
a couple hours. So
So they showed, once she started doing the stories, they showed her kind of Hulk out a couple of times. That I was like, okay, they're emphasizing her roid rage. And then we'll go through the other plot stuff, but I think we're just going to get to the ending, right? To talk about
Yeah.
first.
The 50-foot woman.
So
Yeah,
Ed
is that what you guys
Harris.
don't like?
Yeah, that was stupid.
So somebody explain to me what they think happened, because I think we should all get on the same page as to what do we think that meant.
I don't
More
have any
just
idea, man.
metaphorical. Like I think it was just. I think at a certain point, like a lot of the trippy stuff that was happening was maybe metaphorical. So I think it was just like her kind of like just being bigger, like just literally being bigger. But also,
I kind of
like,
thought of it as Kristen Stewart's perspective on her. And that,
yeah, that's true.
she's
too.
like
It could
larger
have been,
than
like,
life
yeah,
superhero kind
it's like
of.
her getting bigger really didn't like. I mean, it did, I guess, affect like Ed Harris in that scene because like he kind of was just like.
I mean,
Undermatched.
here's my problem with that scene. It's exactly what Chad said. The whole movie, all that crazy shit is from her perspective. And in that last scene, Kristen Stewart and Ed Harris both looked up like a giant was there. That was my problem with that scene. Is now it's like everyone else is seeing this insane shit. Like it didn't make sense. If it had just been her perspective the whole time, it was just like, well, she's crazy. And there's a really good hint that she's been crazy the whole time because she calls home and they're like, do not ever call here again. Like it's like they're portraying it as roid rage, but you don't take three shots of steroids and lose your goddamn mind. Like this woman has been nuts the whole time. So I liked all of that. It
How
was
many
a little
shots
weird.
did it take you?
It took me 6. It wasn't 3. You got to at least double it. It was just that last thing when you saw it from their perspective. I'm like, I did not like that. Because now it's not a woman going crazy.
I mean, she still went crazy, I think.
I think another one of my problems with the movie too was that I believed that Kristen Stewart's was her character was in love or whatever, or at least in lust, because she didn't really know this girl they weren't together for very long. But I didn't believe for a second that the other girl loved her. I think that she was manipulative and her judgment clouded by the whole roid thing. So by the time the end rolls around and she's like, I love you and all that, I'm like, nah, no, you don't.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
a codependency thing.
Yeah, I'm with Jeff on that.
So this girl grows to be a giant, saves her. That's to me is Kristen Stewart seeing the ideal version of her that she fell in love with. Like this, she's kicking my evil, awful dad's ass. Then they switch to the scene of them in the pickup truck leaving town, and the girl's like asleep, non-responsive, and Kristen Stewart's got to deal with the body in the back of the thing while the other one's like not helping her at all. And that's like back down to earth of what their reality really is.
Yeah, she's willing to do anything.
So I think my favorite shot of the movie, or part of the movie, is when she sees that the blonde who was shot in the face isn't dead.
Yeah.
And kills her. That is like intense and shows you how crazy her character is in this movie. Like she's kind of portrayed as the heroine the whole time, but she's a piece of shit. Like
Which Ed Harris tells her, he goes, "Your mother left because you're like me."
Yeah, and didn't she help her dad? Like,
yes,
I don't know if they ever showed it, but like they
did.
Basically said like, yeah, she was helping him kill all those bodies that they buried in the desert.
They did. They showed her executing a guy in the desert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that guy's jaw getting curb stomped on the table.
Oof.
Yeah, so that's
hardcore, man.
That was my favorite part of the movie because that just kind of jumped out of nowhere. And
well, that's when I was like, oh, maybe this is a horror film. Yeah. No. That was the last of it.
I like the hallucination where she like gave birth out her mouth to Kristen Stewart. That was pretty cool.
That's when I was like, oh yeah, this is an A24 movie.
Yeah, that's
yes. Yeah. Then I was like, oh, this might be a horror movie. I think my favorite part though was when the girl with the yellow teeth and her were getting ready to go into her apartment, and all of a sudden it looks like blood has just been thrown on this girl. and you're like,
Yeah.
what was that? Because you just seen her puking on the ground, and all of a sudden blood is just.
That was cool.
And
the
then,
way they shot that.
And then you
Did
find
she
out,
have-
she good shot.
Did she have yellow teeth the whole time?
Yeah.
And I just missed it.
Yeah.
She did. Okay, because like
Well,
there
more
was
like
like one
orange.
shot. I think when they were in the diner, I was like, "Wow, her teeth are real fucking yellow." But
She looked like
I
a
didn't-
meth addict. the
I
whole
love how
movie.
she like blackmails Kristen Stewart into hooking up with her, and
Hell
then
yeah.
she's like on cloud 9 and talking on the phone to the Jackie, like, "You don't call here anymore," whatever. Meanwhile, Kristen Stewart's crying in the shower, like, you know,
She's
Ace
not down.
Ventura.
The thing I loved
Yes,
about this
exactly.
movie is that every single character was a giant pile of shit. Like they were the worst people, but like you still found them interesting and wanted to.
the actress who played the girl in the diner, whatever her name was, she was awesome.
Yeah, she was real creepy. Like she was a real creep.
Which one?
The girl with the teeth.
The
Oh, yeah,
obsessed
yeah,
one,
yeah.
the one that was
Yeah.
obsessed with.
And
Kristen
and did you guys just like want to shake that chick that was like wanting to stay with her husband?
Oh,
was
Jenna
also
Malone.
Jenna
Oh, that's
Malone.
awesome.
Yeah,
Freaking come on, woman, wake up!
Well, yeah, that last one wasn't a punch to the face. That was a near-death
Several.
experience. That was
Yeah.
wild. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Normally, if there's no one for me to cheer for in a movie, I don't like it. It didn't bother me as much in this. Maybe because I was it looked like it was going to be a hero turn for Kristen Stewart, and then that last thing where she kills that girl, it's like, oh no, she's not a hero at all. She's an awful person. So maybe
Or-
I was like kind of on that arc with her, and then it didn't happen, but it was at the very end. So
Or
know.
you may have experienced this thing. I don't think you've ever experienced this before, Jason. It's called empathy, and you may have been experiencing just a tiny bit of that, and maybe that's why.
nope, that definitely wasn't it. I wouldn't know how to recognize that anyway.
Oh man.
Also, Dave Franco, awesome in this movie as the sleazeball.
oh man, just a scuzz bucket.
Oh, everyone absolutely kills it in this movie.
Yeah, great performances.
But
I
again,
loved it.
I watched it. I was just like, oh, this ending is going to be one of those polarizers. Like, there's going to be people that are all in because of this, and other people who are like, what was that piece of garbage? So
I really
didn't-
dislike that giant
I
scene.
didn't really take. I mean, if you don't take the giant scene literal, then I don't see how you could really hate it, unless you're like taking it literal.
I just think it's a better movie without it. Like if you take it out, it's just there's nothing to complain about.
well, based on the violence that they had earlier in the movie, if Jackie had just come in and tore Ed Harris apart,
That would have been cool. They should have done that. She should have just ripped him in half. Like that would have been sweet.
I thought that's what was going to happen. She's going to start
That's what I
pulling his
thought,
arms
too.
and shit off.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna
But
like
she's
rip
gonna
him
eat
in
him.
half, like Pyramid Head in like Sun Hill.
Yeah. Pulls her skin off.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie now. I get that reference.
Yay. So, solid flick, not horror.
Yeah, there was a little bit I was thinking. Remember the movie Lamb?
I
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet.
That's weird.
The ending is totally different, but similar in some ways. In that,
That movie's way
comes out
weirder
of-
than this.
But
Yeah,
it's got
it's super
it's
weird.
got an ending that comes out of left field.
I have to watch that again because I like don't think I was in the right mindset for Lamb the first time I saw it. And you know me, like I love weird and I love A24 stuff, and like it's definitely a movie I should have liked, and I just didn't connect with it. So I was actually thinking about that today as I was watching this movie. I was like, man, I gotta go back and watch The Lamb.
That's weird.
It's weird.
It's
It's
super weird.
super weird.
All right, Tim, thanks for stepping in.
Yeah, you got it.
It was
And
good to see you.
everybody, don't forget to cycle. Keep them pipes going.
Don't do that.
Do your reps. Do your
And,
Kegels.
We'll figure out what we're doing and let you know. And smash that like button and share. And I guess we'll see you next week, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye.